Hello, friends. Uncle Marv here with another episode of the IT Business Podcast, your podcast for IT business support. If you are a managed service provider, friends, Uncle Marv here with another. Are you guys hearing that? Of the IT Business Podcast.
Just now, yeah.
Podcast for IT business support. We may have to start over.
Uh-oh.
I'll edit it. Hello, friends. Uncle Marv here with another episode of the IT Business Podcast, your podcast for IT business support. If you are a managed service provider, an IT professional, or you provide any type of network support to businesses, this podcast is for you. We try to share product stories and tips, helping you to run your business better, smarter, and faster. This show is presented by NetAlly, the #1 ally for network professionals when you need to troubleshoot, diagnose, and design wired and wireless networks. So this is the live Wednesday show. If you are watching the video, thank you for joining us. If you are listening later to the audio, you should come watch the live show. I have with me two people that I think, well, hopefully we can keep them on track. But I've got Diana Giles and Kristen Pittman here with me tonight. Ladies, how are we?
Really good.
Yeah. Are you ready?
Yeah.
I was ready.
And you know what it's like with the two of us together. So
yeah, I know. That's why I'm giving us a lot of leeway here, a lot of runway to tackle this topic. So tonight we're going to talk about the power of partnerships. And listeners out there, this is one of those things where I've asked you guys for ideas and topics and things. And tonight is going to be an example of you guys actually came to me with a topic and said, hey, can we do a show about this? And I said, sure. So we'll see how it goes.
All right.
It'll be good.
I'm trying to give you that little end to say, yeah.
Well, we don't want to step on each other, like.
All right. Well, before we get into that, let me ask you this. Have you guys gotten your emails from protection companies asking if you've heard about the Rackspace incident?
No? I haven't really gotten too many. I don't work with Rackspace, and I'm trying to think of any. I haven't gotten any like I have with some of the other incidents out there.
Okay. Well, I've gotten a bunch of people saying, have you heard of the Rackspace incident? And by the way, we can sell you email protection because that's what took Rackspace down. So I just wondered if everybody was starting to get all of these sales calls now that we've had a major incident with Rackspace. Kristen, do you know what we're even talking about?
I do. One of my developers actually brought it up to me yesterday and said, hey, were you aware of this? And I said, no, I wasn't. And so I went and researched it. But yeah, I haven't heard any, aside from that, I haven't seen any news about it. I don't know if it's just really a kind of swept under the carpet hush hush thing or not, but no, I haven't heard a lot about it.
I've just seen it in the Facebook groups and things like that.
Yeah, stuff has trickled out. I mean, stuff started last week with them. And apparently, obviously, it's not all of Rackspace. It's just their hosted exchange, which, of course, most of the world isn't on hosted exchange, whether you're on 365 or some other platform. But they did announce earlier this week that it actually was a ransomware incident that came in through email. I didn't look too further for the details because, like you said, Dinah, I'm not on Rackspace, but it is something to take note of because everybody, talks about the cloud and talks about the bigger companies, and when they go down, they're down. I mean, and we have nothing to do with it. So luckily, none of the big boys like Microsoft has gone down with a hard crash recently, but they've had it too.
Yeah. I mean, nobody can say it'll never happen, right? We just can do what we can to prevent it and to have things in place in case something does happen.
Right.
Now, and actually, Diana and I were talking about that today, the fact that if Azure goes down, they do have the redundancy that, another colo can pick up, but, it's only as good as the backbone.
Yeah. Now, did you guys pay extra for that redundancy, or are you using the built-in redundancy with the Azure?
Built-in redundancy.
Okay. All right. So in other news, one of my clients that I don't know what the correct term is, they partnered with a company, which is what I was told originally. Come to find out later that they were merging with this company. Come to find out that wasn't true. They're actually being absorbed by another company. So it is a medical office, and I won't use the name just yet, but I'm going to at some point. So the company that is taking over my company got hit with a cybersecurity event back in 21, and they just settled for $3.75 million.
Wow.
Wow.
It's a big number.
But yet they're going to come down
Yeah.
to my office and ask me all the stuff I have in place, when I said, well, tell me what you have in place. And
Right.
if you're going
Right.
to take over my client, have fun. So that's been interesting.
Wow.
And then, of course, the guy showed up today unannounced so first of all, this company's based in Wisconsin. And so they have over 190 of these offices that they've taken over the years. So Wisconsin is, pretty far away from Fort Lauderdale just to show up. So you would think that somebody would have told me, oh yeah, IT from Wisconsin is going to be here. But no, what they did was they came, and he basically tried to ask everybody in the office any question he could about IT instead of calling me to ask me, because all the people did was call me anyway and say,
Yeah, they're not going to know.
but it was interesting. And finally, the one office manager said to him, well, if you don't want to call him, why don't you just unplug something, because he'll call you.
There you go.
Or
There you
try to
go.
add a new device to the network.
Right.
Yeah.
That was my news for today. So tell me, outside of what we're going to talk about tonight with partnering, how is business going with both of you guys? And so that you don't step each other, I'm going to ask Kristen first. How's business?
Business is good. We are good. Still seeing a lot of people. So I guess for everyone out there, I am not an MSP. My company is a custom application software development company. We do SharePoint D365. So still seeing a lot of clients moving over to SharePoint, using SharePoint for everything that they do, the collaboration aspect of it, all of that stuff. So business is good. The one thing that I learned this week, we do all of our billings monthly, and we bill out. So December's bills are for January service to make sure we're paid before we actually do any type of service. But we had one client where we were giving them hours per year, and they were paying quarterly, and they filed for bankruptcy. And now we are out thousands of dollars. And it was a real eye opener. So we were looking now at how we're going to do that type of billing. Probably take that completely off the table any longer. It's now still going to be you pay up front, and then you get the services. So I was saying today, Diana, we've had clients who not everyone's clients are the best clients. We've had clients where the FBI has come to us and said, we need the application, or we've had the SEC come down. Those were a cakewalk compared to bankruptcy. Bankruptcy is a whole nother beast, and we're learning a lot, and I'm not a fan. So that's been my pain this week.
Which type of bankruptcy was it?
Chapter 11, which I
11.
thought would be easier. I thought that was easier somehow. Apparently not.
Maybe not. Wow. Now, did they pay anything up front?
They paid about half.
Half, okay.
Yeah. So live and learn,
Yeah.
For 24 years, live and learn.
Was it a Florida company?
No, it's not.
Okay. All right, Giles, how's business with you?
It's good. It's busy, but more internally. I've been making some changes to some things, and so
I'm sorry. What was that?
I don't know.
Oh,
Was that a,
my phone. Oh, I'm sorry.
I was like, it wasn't on my end. I don't know.
like who's bringing their cat to the podcast?
Okay, let me turn it off. Okay.
No, just this time of year is typically for us. It's a little slower.
Yep.
People aren't working maybe as hard. I don't know. They just haven't had as many issues and things like that. So I've been taking the time to do some internal things, updating my documentation platform. I'm moving to a new documentation platform, and that's a lot of work and getting that going. And then of course, the project that we're going to talk about today, it has been taking quite a bit of my time also, just because there's a lot more involved than just what Kristen's company is involved in. And then I also made a switch with my help desk recently too. So that's something else that's new. So.
Okay, so you did make that move. We talked about that before.
I did, yes.
And with documentation, are you willing to say who you're moving from and who you're moving to?
Yeah, I'm moving from OneNote, which, hey, I love OneNote, and Nigel Moore loves OneNote, so there's nothing wrong with OneNote.
Okay.
But I'm moving to Hoodoo just because I need something that, my help desk people and others can get access to, and just it's more formal, a more formal platform rather than like, well, I think I'll put this here,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
All right. So, did you look at IT Glue?
A year or two ago, yeah.
Okay. I thought you were going to say, well, Rob Ray left, so I'm not looking at anything down.
That's right.
And so so here's an update for listeners that have kept up and for people I've talked with privately. So I've been reaching out to Rob Ray on a regular basis to ask him when he gets ready to announce where he's going to end up or work next, come on this show and make that announcement. So at first,
there you go.
So at first, Rob was, not responding, whatever. He did respond to me. We got a message, and he said that he's still alive and still a free agent. So no news yet. But if anybody is talking to Rob, sees Rob, whatever, Rob, when you get ready to make that announcement, come see your Uncle Marv, and let's do that. Let's do that here. And part of the reason is Rob's the big whale in the industry. So he's been this close to being on my podcast twice before. And I'm like, I gotta get him. And he was scheduled to come on before his leave. But then, I think he didn't want to spill the beans or anything like that. So Rob, if you're listening, I know you are. When you're ready, come on. So interesting. Ryan Weeks also left.
Yeah.
So, of course, that means that they're calling me now every other day.
Dado?
Yep.
Dado is? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I get several emails a day from them. So.
Yep. So I got that call. Now, a little later, I should probably do a disclosure. There may be some weeping and gnashing and cursing today, because I've got some vendor stories I'm going to talk about, but I'm going to try to save that for later.
I always love those.
I thought between us, I was like, we're not that bad.
No, I was trying to figure out if I was going to lead with that, but I'm like, no, we want some good karma going into the show. We can do all the bad stuff going out. So let's do this. Let me see. Oh, big announcement. Are you ready? Giles,
okay.
You need to mark down December 21st. So 2 weeks from tonight, the IT Business Podcast Holiday Show.
Ooh.
That is going to be the show, and it's going to be a big deal. And
I'm not invited? I feel so slighted.
I said it to Giles because she was at last year's, and then she sent me that Christmas jingle thing with the lights. Is that your house? I haven't looked at it yet.
Yes. Yeah, that's one of 4 that are going on our house right now. So
One of 4. Are you going to do 4 separate videos?
no, my husband does 4 songs. He does a new light show every year, and he creates 4 new songs.
Oh,
So
wow.
it lasts like 17 minutes. So
Oh,
I just
okay.
sent
Oh, my
you one of
goodness.
them so you could see it.
All right. So let me get this set up here. Of course, I didn't set it up because crazy here. So I am going to, is this it? Yes. So I'm going to share this screen here only because for those that are watching, you can follow along visually. For those that are listening, itbusiness.com, I'm sorry, itbusinesspodcast.com is the website where you're going to go. And today I have added in the tabs up top a 2022 holiday poll. So if you click on that, it is going to bring up the IT Business Podcast 2022 year-end survey. I did this last year, and we had a nice little party. And this year, we're going to do it. And of course, I'm going to ask for some feedback on the show. But we're doing something special this year. We are going to create some categories for winners of the podcast. I don't know exactly what I'm going to call them, but I'm working on it. But I wanted to get this up and give people ample opportunity to go to the website and sign in, and you're going to vote for your best podcast. So basically, which episode of the podcast you either enjoyed or received the most benefit from or related to, something of that sort. And you're going to vote for best guest. And the winners of those are going to get a very special prize from Uncle Marv. And then, of course, I'm going to ask for all this other stuff about, hey, what's good about the show? What's bad about the show? And if you fill out that survey, you're going to be entered into the IT Business Podcast raffle, which there will be at least some multiple prizes. I know that there is at least 2 Amazon gift cards, and they will be substantial. They're not going to be little $10, $20 gift cards. They're going to be substantial gift cards. So the poll is open. So itbusinesspodcast.com, click on the 2022 holiday poll tab, and that will bring you to the survey. And then mark your calendar for December 21st for the holiday podcast show. All right. Sound pretty excited, girls?
Yes.
Very excited.
I'm just wondering how many categories the Millers are going to win.
None.
They always win all the prizes.
I'm just thinking since I'm in, software development, how can I hack in the system there and, change the voting? That's kind of where I'm going. So, but,
Listen, Herschel Walker couldn't do it, so.
I know.
All right,
Goodness.
Let's do this. Let me get the thank you to our sponsors and stuff out of the way, and then we'll come back with our topic. You're listening to the IT Business Podcast, the podcast for every IT professional. IT Business Podcast is presented by NetAlly, the #1 ally of network professionals everywhere. Live stream funded by Computers Done Right. And thank you to our partners, Tom Bull, Kyle Kenyon, Clark Stockdale, and Synchro. All right, and we are back, and the concept title of this show is The Power of Partnerships. Now, I know that most of us will probably think of partnerships as partnering with a vendor or partnering with another MSP when we don't have services that they provide. In this case, though, it's almost there. It's MSP partnering with, because you're not really a vendor either, Kristen, are you?
No.
No, basically a B2B, right?
Correct.
Okay. So Diana Giles from Skyline IT Management, Kristen Pittman from Solutions. Who wants to start off by telling us how we got here and what the partnership is?
Well, do you want to start, Kristen, with how we met, or?
Sure.
Okay.
So last October at the ASCII Orlando show, it was my first show I was going to, and I was a new ASCII member. And I walked in the room, and I mean, as you can tell, I'm very introverted and very scared of people. So I was looking around, and I saw this table that looked like it was fun. People were laughing, having a good time. So I sat down, and lo and behold, it's Diana and Marv. And we all start talking, and we start, discussing what's going on in our businesses, our lives. We enjoyed dinner together that evening, and we just had a really good time, really good camaraderie and everything. And that just kept going. For over a year now, we've kept in touch, discussed different things, sometimes share different business stuff. So that's how we initially first met each other. And then Diana, you can pick up where it happened this summer.
Okay, yeah. So I had a prospect, and we were discussing, Skyline providing their IT needs. They were, there's always a reason like why somebody's going to leave who they're with, right? And so, we were discussing that, and they basically, for quite some time, had wanted to move from a server, and this is for where their data was, and also an application that was a custom app built in-house. I want to say like 12 years ago. I may be wrong on that number, but quite a while back. And they'd just been told no constantly by, I don't know how many people that they had talked to about it, including their current provider. And so when the opportunity to talk to me came up, that was one of the things we discussed. And, I said, well, I don't do that, but I know someone who does. And so, what I told him was basically, yeah, that's possible. I mean, what you're wanting to do can be done. And so, just because of the way that Solutions works, they actually partner directly with my client. So, like for cabling and things like that, my cabling are either more like a subcontractor. This is not that kind of a situation, but I basically kind of connected Solutions with my client, and they keep me in the loop, of course, and kind of seeing the project through. But we are nearing the end. We're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel now for the app portion, the portion that Solutions is really doing the heavy, literally the lifting to the cloud. And so it's been great.
Now, let me ask this real quick, because Giles, is this the situation where you had started asking people, hey, does anybody know who does this? And I had to remind you?
I don't know.
You don't remember that?
I don't think so. No, I really don't think so. I think that was something else.
Okay.
Was it?
Right.
Maybe. I can't swear to it. I don't know. I've slept a lot.
All I know is that, there's many times that I'm helping you bring people together, and I don't think I'm getting the credit here.
I thought that was another
It might have been
or something. Yeah.
It might have been. That's okay.
Maybe.
All right, Kristen, you were going to...
I just remember Diana, I think it was an email. It was in August. I know specifically that's when it was. It was in August, middle of August. And she emailed me, and I think she said, hey, can you give me a call? I have a question for you. And so we discussed it, and she said, hey, my client has this on-prem server. They need to move it to Azure. Can you help? And I said, yeah, absolutely, we can. And so that's where it started. And we've been working on this project since about September 1st. We do keep Diana in the loop with everything that's going on with the project. There's been some gotchas along the way, but we like Pac-Man, we gobble it up along the way as we're going, and we're the light at the end of the tunnel is there. We can see it. We're almost done.
All right. Now, Giles, when you were talking to this prospect, did you know right away that this was a project that you were going to need some assistance on and could reach out to Kristen?
Yes. I mean, when they told me what they were wanting to do, I wasn't worried about the Microsoft 365 part, getting them into the cloud that way on that part of it. But with the app, yes. I mean, I knew that that's not, I'm not a developer and I don't do that. And I haven't had another client that's needed that kind of development, moving it to that type of an app and moving it into that situation into Azure. But I was more than happy to do it. And, I knew it could be done. I just knew that we'd have to find the right people.
Right. And this was a custom app. So is it like a database management program? I mean, what exactly, without, divulging the customer information or anything like that, what type of program are we talking about?
So it's a PHP. It's a PHP front end with a MySQL back end, and it was running on an on-prem server, on premise inside their office. So what we did is we went to Azure. Diana is right. It is about a 12-year-old application, and it's running on legacy PHP MySQL. So what we did is we went to Azure and we found a system as close as we could to what they currently have, because of the fact that we don't want to disrupt everything that's going on there, because that's just going to cause issues and problems. Unfortunately, it's not a pretty just pick it up and copy paste or anything like that. There's been scripts need to be changed. There's been some indexing needs to be done in the database. But like I said, those are the little things that we've worked through as we're doing it. And one thing I'll call out is this was not even Diana's client when they approached her. So it was, hey, if you can, can you help us do this? We could possibly also use your MSP services. So really excited and happy. We've had that a few times where we've come in and helped our MSP partner, and they then secured the client.
Yes. Yeah. Good point. I mean, because that was kind of, they were wanting to find someone they could work with that was going to listen to them and really kind of, champion what they were wanting to do. And so I think that, it definitely, I mean, I could have, put them in touch with Kristen and they could have, just gone with her and stayed with their current provider. But I think that was never, I mean, they were kind of already deciding that they were wanting to leave their current provider because they just weren't, there were some other things they were not happy with maybe, but it definitely helped me secure them as a client for sure.
So what approach did you guys take with the project in terms of getting the customer? So I'm thinking of, did you present to them like a single proposal together, or did you both come in individually?
We both came in individually.
Okay.
We started off with meetings and learning exactly what they needed and being a group together. I mean, they knew that we were both separate companies, but they knew that Diana and I worked together and that this is how we were going to do it. So they have separate proposals with both of us, but they know that they can rely on all of us together.
Right. And I mean, I don't want this to sound wrong, but I didn't have to work really hard to get them as a client because they had somebody that was listening to them and that was, like, yes, we can do that. And I think, they knew I had the credentials to say that. But I think they were just happy to have somebody who understood what they wanted to do and was, happy to help them do it.
All right. So devil's advocate, why not go to them and say, yeah, I can do that, and have Kristen and her company work through you and do it that way? Was there a consideration for that? And I'm saying that because that's what most MSPs would do.
Well, I don't know. I mean, we kind of, I just asked Kristen how they normally did things. And she just explained that that's the way they did it. Now, when we first talked about the contract, I kind of felt bad because she kind of had to redo the contract. At first, I was thinking of it like I do with my cabling people and that kind of thing, where I would actually bill them so that the contract would actually be with me. But once I took a look at that, I called her and I said, I don't know if this is the way we ought to go. And she said, well, this is actually the other way. Like the way we're doing it is how they normally do it. They normally bill directly to the client that they're working with. And that ended up being the better way. So
yeah, Kristen, I have to imagine that from your perspective, that has to be a cleaner way to do it, because there's stuff that you're doing that has nothing to do with the MSP, right?
Correct. And their whisper down the alley is the devil's advocate in this. We've been in business 24 years, growing pains, learn different things, but we have to talk to the client and understand specifically what the client wants and needs. Initially, Diana said, can we have a contract with her? And I said, we can bill through you if that's the way you want to do it, but we need to talk to the client. We have to have those conversations. There can't be, they tell you, you tell us and stuff. And I think then that's when she said, you know what, just do it. Go have it between you and them and Solutions, and we'll just go that way. And like I said, again, Diana's involved in the project management application. She sees what's happening, all the emails that go back and forth, the meetings that we have. We include our MSP partners in that, because you're going to be our champion. We're going to be your champion. We all need to be on the same page.
Right. And it's really, this is the better way for my client, because let's say they do become, disenchanted with Skyline and they want to move on. I mean, they still need to have their relationship with Solutions the way that this is, it's a complex app, and, there's going to be some future development on it probably to kind of bring it to modern standards. This is sort of phase one. Just getting it in the cloud. And so it's really better for them that they have that direct relationship with Solutions.
And vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
So were there any stepping stones in the beginning that you guys had to work through with the client in terms of understanding the separation of church and state, in a sense?
I don't think so. I think they were very open in the beginning and just wanted the reassurance that it could be done.
Yeah.
And that we could handle it.
Yeah. And you know how things are. I mean, everybody wants it done tomorrow kind of thing. I mean, they've been very anxious for this for quite a while. And so, but they also understood it's very complex. And we've, we just kept the lines of communication open. Besides email, we have like a Basecamp thing going, just to minimize some of that back and forth. Although everybody kind of tends to just go back to email,
Yeah.
I figured Kristen was probably a little frustrated, like, hey, what about Basecamp? Let's do that. But,
I've tried to keep everybody in Basecamp, but then all of a sudden you get the rogue email, and I'm like, let's go back to Basecamp.
Yeah. Keep it all on this,
Is Basecamp what you use internally, Kristen?
So we use that for all of our clients. Yeah, we use Basecamp for all our projects. It's a project management system, and that way we can list out tasks. We can list out to-dos. There's a calendar associated with it. So as we were moving this application, like I said, there were some scripting nuances that we ran into, and we had the client testing as we were going along. So what we did is we listed in there all of the issues that we were seeing, and then as we were correcting them, having people test and go back. So that's what we use for all of our clients for our projects.
So I'm asking this. This is a personal question now, because we have a client that's we're going to be taking on that's using Monday.com.
A CRM.
Well, yeah, but so how much? I mean, but they're using it as their CRM / project management. So do you have a comparison between the two where you can say Basecamp's better, or have you not looked at Monday.com?
Not looked at Monday.com. We've been using Basecamp now for probably, almost 10 years. I just really like the design, the layout, the ease of use. I like, you can go back. I had a client about 2-3 weeks ago. Hey, we're seeing this issue. How do we correct it? And then I just went to Basecamp and typed in a few keywords, and the old ticket kind of came up there. The issue came up, and I said, "Oh, okay, here we go," and followed all through it and said, "Yep, this is what happened. This is how we handled it." So I just like Basecamp.
Okay, that was just a sidebar for me.
Yeah,
you're entitled. It's your show.
So
you can do that.
It's my show. All right, so back to the project. So what are some things that either of you, like, thought of that said, oh, we need to, mark this down, remember this, or this will be something good to remember for future? Anything like that that's popping out, or you just want to share the story?
With the partnership or with the project?
I don't know, either.
The
Pick
project
one.
I think we've got a list with the project.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's start with that.
Yeah. Just, for instance, we have to have code freezes. We can't have anybody doing anything. When you migrate an application like that, you're migrating the front end and the database, and you're making sure that everything functions as it should. And the front end, once changes are made there, it's made there. Now the database obviously is still being used on-prem. But now we're getting ready to go live, so we're going to move that database again. Any changes to that database is going to cause issues. So we had to really, say code freeze. There can't be any changes that can happen. There are some parts of the system that they are using in kind of a roundabout way. So I think we decided we're going to go SharePoint route with that, with document storage.
Yes.
Diana,
And then-
we're going to go.
yeah. And the OBDC stuff for the, the thing, they're going to kind of replace what they were doing with Access. They use those same tables that are in the app, that database, to do some other queries. And so that was an issue that kind of came up as we were moving through. It wasn't just their app. They also relied on those tables from some Access queries. And so we had to work through that.
Yep.
So I imagine that there had to be a ton of discovery in the beginning. So how deep did that discovery go, and how did you provide the customer with expectations on how big of a process it would be?
The discovery that we started out with was relatively minor because of the fact the discovery we did in the beginning was, okay, what database are we using? What front end are we using? What versions are we using? What are the extra add-ons, like we said, the Access, all of that kind of stuff. It wasn't a deep dive into that. The deeper dive came when we started actually moving stuff, and they started testing in Azure, and we started seeing that this code was broke because there were references that are hard-coded, and it wasn't dynamic. So then we had to go in and make those changes and stuff like that, or a specific IP address. So then initially in the beginning, it was more just learning specifically what they were using. And as we went along, we really did the deep dive and started to do anything. And like Diana said, we had the conversation about the Access and, documents. And now we're going to SharePoint and ODBC connectors and all kinds of stuff like that.
Okay. All right. So code freeze, meaning that that sounds to me like we're talking about a cutover date where, you've got to stop working in the old system, and then we migrate everything over to the new system. How long is that going to take?
We're talking about doing the migration next weekend.
Okay. So over a weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, starting on Friday afternoon.
Okay. Do they normally not work weekends?
Not really. They kind of don't even work too much on Friday afternoons, it seems.
Okay. So it's not a law firm then.
No.
But this is a priority for
sorry,
them. They would be more than happy to
yeah.
stay off of it for a weekend if it gets them where they want to go. So yeah, that's fine.
I think if we told them tomorrow, they'd stop working in it tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah. And they rely on this heavily. I mean, they spend, the majority of their staff spends a huge amount of time in this database, I guess, or app, whatever. I'm not sure what to call it.
And a nice, it's both. It's front end app database. But I think one of the nice things is the original developer is available to us. We don't always have that luxury.
Oh.
So the original developer he is available to answer questions and to guide different things. So that's been extremely helpful. There's obviously been projects where we've done where the developer refuses to talk to us and or is just not available for whatever reason.
Okay, so let me ask this question, because a lot of times, the developer can't be found, or the company's out of business, and that's why people have these issues with migrating. So in this case, if the developer's around, what is preventing the developer from doing upgrades or making this work for them now as opposed to 12 years ago?
Code
Well,
freeze.
yeah,
Now,
he was a former employee who just did this. This is one of those things that just kind of grew
Okay.
organically.
yeah,
Oh, I can
yeah,
do
yeah,
this. Oh, I can do this.
yeah.
Oh, I can do this. And he did. I mean, with what he had, he did a
It's
great little,
functioning. It's
yeah, it's
functional.
functioning great for them. They've been using it all this time, but it didn't grow. It didn't not grow, but advance with technology as far as versions and things like that. And I'm not sure that he would have been able to lift it to the, Azure instance. So,
Okay, that makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
All
he's
right,
been very, very, very helpful. So,
good.
extremely. Yeah.
All right, so code freeze. What's next?
Next is the migration. Is moving the everything's over in Azure right now. It's running. They've been testing it. So next weekend it's taking the database and moving a copy over there again, and then saying, okay, from now on you're running it in Azure. You're no longer running on-prem, and shutting down that server.
yeah, after I moved the other data.
Well, yeah, after I had to move a lot of data.
A lot.
A lot.
So is this something where I'm imagining that you did a database move, and not only did you have to clean up stuff in the Azure side, but did you have to go back and clean up the existing database in order to make it
There were,
migrate smoother?
yeah, not clean up, but there were some queries that needed to be rewritten, some indexing that needed to be done, some things that the way they were written are no longer used. 12 years ago, it was a practice, but it's no longer best practice today. So there was a lot of that need to be done on the front end, on the actual coding that runs the front end of the application. Ran into a lot of that same kind of things where, like I said, you were referencing an IP address, not an address, and we need to go in and find out where that was. And so there was, like I said, little issues here and there. They would go in and test. We had them keep testing, running the application, see if it was working. If we'd find something, we'd go in, figure it out, make changes, do all that kind of stuff. So it's normal. You see that all the time when you're taking an application that's a legacy application and moving it over.
All right. So code freeze, database is moving next weekend. What else?
We hope to partner on more projects.
That's right. Definitely. Yeah.
All right. So
And speaking of, like I asked Kristen to make sure that, because I'm obviously aware of what they can do in this case, and I can go to their website and look around too, but I just said make sure I have a good understanding of everything that you guys can do for me, so that I know when a project comes up or an opportunity comes up, that I know, oh, I need to get with Kristen's group.
well, let's go back to
Yeah.
that, which we probably should have talked more of in the beginning, because meeting somebody at an ASCII event, usually it's just kind of a card swap, and it may end up there. In this case, now granted, Kristen came to a great table. I mean, you say that.
The best table.
The best table,
best.
yes.
You
The
lucked into
best.
meeting us, but what
I did.
was it?
I did.
What was it that kept everything going so that you could be in a position to find each other and partner a year later?
So we're members of ASCII, obviously, and I follow the thread all day long and see the different things that are coming up. And our model is we are not, so I'll quickly give the backstory. We started in 1999 as a custom application software development company, and we were introduced to Gary Pica at DDS. For using those, Gary went to True Methods. Gary then sold to Kaseya. I actually called Gary today and I said, Gary, I'm doing a podcast. Are you okay if I tell a story? He said, go for it, Kristen. He said, I'm flattered. So, all right. So working with DDS, Gary said, you're my development company. And we worked with him. And when he went to Mindshift, we initially came along with them. And he said, this is the model you need to follow. You don't do what MSPs do. MSPs don't do what you do. Perfect partnership. That's what you need to do. So that's what we've been doing for 24 years. So for years, different MSP partners have said to me, are you part of ASCII? You're part of ASCII. And no, 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 no. And finally, one day I said, why are we not part of ASCII? Maybe I should check this out. So I did, talk to Jerry, got the whole information and thought, oh, okay, sounds like a good idea. So joined ASCII because it's a perfect referral form for us. It works. So no, we're not an MSP. We don't do anything that MSPs do. I understand the IT environment. I understand the MSP world. Sat through all the meetings, maybe yawned a little bit because it's just not 100% what I do. But there's a lot of good information there, and obviously a lot of great people. So, like I said, I think for the past year we've kept we've kept in touch little by little. Diana and I kind of sidebarred on some things. Outside of this, so we've kept that communication.
We've been to some of the same meetings. You know how you show up in a Zoom meeting. So
yeah.
All
right. So Giles, you may want to just sit for a second. I'm going to ask Kristen a couple of questions.
Okay.
So so I know I had you on a quick podcast before. We haven't had that full podcast, but in terms of the fact that you did not necessarily associate with MSPs in the beginning. So I have to assume that a lot of your business just came direct to companies, right?
So we started like the MSP model within like 2000, 2001. So really it's been the MSPs referring us to their clients.
So when you say the MSP model, so you actually sought out MSPs back then.
Correct.
To partner with. Okay.
Correct.
Because you made it sound like MSPs were a new thing, and that's why you were being asked about ASCII. So you reached out to MSPs back in 2000.
Yeah, Gary is the one who said to us, hey, you need to start, that's your model, partner with MSPs and go that route. So about 2000 is when we started that. Always have done the MSP model, but it was a couple of my MSP partners had said to me, why are you not part of ASCII? Do you know about ASCII? You should join ASCII. Okay. And I said, okay, yeah, I guess. I don't know why not.
All right. And it took you till 2021 to do that.
Yes. Yeah. I'm a slow learner. What can I say?
Well, Tampa, being on the West Coast, things are a little slower over there.
They are, but don't forget, I'm a Philly girl. So don't go there.
We're not going there tonight. All right. So Giles, how did you find it? I assume that this was a little bit out of water for you to do this type of partnership. Like you said, partnering with a cable person is one thing, but partnering with somebody who's, taking over a huge chunk of a client's business, it had to be a little different, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. But I mean, really it was a good different. It took a lot of pressure off of me, for I think, sometimes we struggle, and I'm sure some people struggle more than others with maybe letting your ego get in there about what you know and what you don't know. And I think we can all do well to know what we don't know, and we serve our clients well when we know that, and we put them in the right, we get people to help them or help us. Sometimes that's, it may be a situation where we're just partnering direct with someone, but we're really serving our clients better when we do it that way, rather than trying to take on something that we maybe can only muddle through and do, in a less than excellent way. Or in this case, I would have just had to say no, because I don't have what it takes to do what they're doing. So.
Right. Well, I will say this. So one of the benefits of being in a group like ASCII, I'm also going to mention the MSP Unplugged community.
Yes.
With Paco and Rick. There are some others, Facebook groups out there that are pretty active, but those are the two, at least right now, that are the most active in terms of people being open to talking with each other, partnering with each other. So that environment where, there's some freedom to be okay with asking for help is crucial, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's not like it was, 20 years ago. I mean, you just can't know it all, especially with the introduction of all the cloud technology, and just the technology has become a huge umbrella. And so, we just can't know it all or be excellent at it all. And so we have to know what we're really good at and know how to get the people involved that we need to when we're, been something that we're not.
Right. Now, Kristen, you
And I'll
mentioned.
say that.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Well, I was just
No,
going to
'cause I was
say
going to go on a
we
different
have.
track. So you say your thing.
Well, quickly, we've partnered now with probably 3 or 4 other MSPs through ASCII, kind of the same way with Diana, and everyone has. I can't say anything bad about any of our MSP partners because they're all willing, eager. Hey, here's the client. How can you help them? And we're helping the MSP in the same respect. So it's always been a great experience.
All right. So what I was going to ask was along those lines. Now that you've done this, for years, but then you've done a few with the ASCII, how do you kind of track and reevaluate the process on how you're working with MSPs?
We learn every day. We learn a little more and a little different. We did learn that we don't allow third party. It has to be a direct conversation with us and the client. More than happy to always have the MSP involved. We've met some potential MSP partners who are looking for a little more accessibility, I'm going to say, and happy to accommodate there. There's been little things that have come up, and every day I think we're learning and looking at different things, but it's still the core of we want to solve that client's needs and issues. We have to be the ones that are communicating with them, and we need to make sure that we have the MSP support that we can accommodate that. We're partners. I mean, we really are partners. If something is happening within the company, I need to feel that I can call the MSP and say, hey, wanted to let you know XYZ. And I want them to feel the same way, that they can then reach out to us and say, hey, don't know if you knew this, but XYZ. So just the client who's filing bankruptcy, I immediately called my MSP partner and said, hey, I think you guys need to know this. And they were like, oh my gosh, we had no clue. So there's definitely a back and forth open line of communication.
All right. Giles, any takeaways from this major partnership?
Well, I mean, I'm just thrilled with it, because it obviously gave me a new opportunity. An opportunity for a new client. And it's right in my sweet spot, what they want to do. I mean, so they're like the ideal client for me. So I feel really, really fortunate. And I'm just, really happy with Silations and the work that they've done and the opportunity that working with them gave me.
All right. Well, ladies, thank you for coming on and sharing and talking about the power of partnerships. We'll obviously probably have some more conversations because you guys seem to be pretty good friends. Although, Kristen,
Marv, don't tell all our secrets.
That's right.
You're telling secrets about what our conversations.
Yeah, but you haven't
Diana
been
and I
spotted.
subscribe to a philosophy.
We're
Kindred
like-minded on some things.
Yes.
Like-minded.
Kindred
Okay.
spirits.
But have you gone to an event and had somebody ask you, whose kitchen were you in that I saw? That
No. That was
What?
Yeah. That's how you know you've arrived, when people notice that you're in somebody else's kitchen in Oklahoma City.
Yeah, it's in my kitchen.
Oh, well, there you go. There you go.
Yes.
See, well, Diana needs to come down here, and then you can come in Tampa, and then we can go over to Lauderdale, and
So,
Did you see next
year, ASCII's in Tampa?
Oh,
it's a repeat. Yeah.
So, Giles, why don't you fly into Fort Lauderdale?
Okay, I'll have to check my calendar and the ASCII schedule because how many are there? Like 7 or 8?
Yeah, fly into Fort Lauderdale. We'll drive over to Tampa, and then you can take your iconic picture.
20th, 21st, or something.
Oh, I don't know.
I think I saw that. Yeah, super excited about that app.
What did you do? Switch your microphone off?
No, my earbud fell out.
It fell out.
Excuse me.
Go off camera. Get your
Hold, please.
There you
Hold,
go.
please. Thank you. Thank you for holding. How can
My
I help
whole
you?
headset fell off today while I was talking to somebody.
When we were talking?
Yes, yeah. I don't know if you heard the crash. The big crash.
I did. Did you hear the crash? My phone completely fell in the truck, and I was like, "Oh wait, let me get back."
No.
Were you doing that call in the truck?
Yeah, she was busy.
Yeah, I was coming
today.
back from a luncheon.
Yeah, and I needed to talk to her not only about the podcast, but I had a meeting with my client, and I wanted to make sure that I was up to speed with everything I should be. So.
Oh, all right.
Yep. Hey,
All right,
you work wherever you got to work.
Okay. If you
We're
say
in
so.
IT.
That's right.
Yeah. So I do want to acknowledge in the chat on the Facebook side. So we are live streaming to multiple places: Facebook, the YouTube, Twitch. Matt Scully was spotted in the Facebook chat, but of course, talked nothing about tech. Talked about the freaking New York Giants and the Yankees giving Aaron Judge his record $360 million contract, and that's why he's saying Christmas is good. But whatever. Christmas will be good on December 24th.
Christmas will be good if the Eagles can keep it up. That's my thing.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. Because your boy's going to get hurt.
Why?
What's his name? Jalen Hurts? That's the quarterback?
Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
Oh, because he's going to get hurt?
He's going to get hurt, yeah.
No, come on. What are they? 10 and 11? I mean, 10 and 1? Yeah, come on. Or 11 and 1. 10 11, yeah.
Boy, that's a long season.
Cheese and crackers.
I wish it was that long of a season. That'd be fun.
Like the Lakers basketball records. All right. Any last comments on the partnership, since we did not follow a script?
No, but I'm really glad that we brought you the idea.
Yeah.
Okay. I gave you credit.
Well, I do think it's something that a lot of, especially the more nimble MSPs, that aren't going to have everybody in-house to do everything. So I think it's
calling us trunk slammers now, nimble MSPs.
No, I never have used the word trunk slammer. So anyway,
yes,
I think it's
you
good.
are correct. You are correct. If you're a small MSP and you want to get certain types of business, just partner and make it work.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. And I would say if you're going to partner with someone that you feel like you understand, can do the job. I mean, don't pick somebody that's been in business a year. Vet them out and make sure, because not only you're on the line too, because you're the MSP referring them, and the last thing you want to do is have something go wrong and you lose that client. So yeah, make sure that you're vetting out your partnership.
All right. And we will continue making this partnership work with the three of us as we visit Tampa next year for ASCII, right, Giles?
I'm not going to commit to anything, but I'm certainly going to consider it. Yes.
Get out of here.
I don't even know the dates.
So. I told you June 21st, 22nd, 21st, 22nd. I saw it.
Okay. I think. Well, I may be in Denver at that time. I think.
For what?
Denver.
Pax 8 thing. There's a big Pax 8 thing. I don't remember what the dates are.
Pax 8.
Here you go. June 21st and 22nd in St. Pete at the St. Pete Hilton.
Yeah.
Okay.
Florida sounds much better than Denver.
I agree.
Well, maybe in the summer. I don't know.
You don't need to go to Denver. And you were just in Denver.
Yeah, I know.
for a PAX 8 thing
Yeah.
where you saw Rob
Come on, you want
Ray.
to come see?
Oh, did you really just say that?
Nobody's listening right now. We've hit the hour mark.
Oh, so you'll cut it off before you make the recording for the.
No,
Okay.
nobody heard that. Nobody heard
Okay.
a thing.
Okay.
So let's, since we have hit the hour mark, let's do Florida Man or random question. Which would you guys like to have today? Now,
Random question.
because
Because
you
then I can
understand Florida.
participate.
Giles, there has to
Oh,
be
wait.
some story in Oklahoma City, right?
Did we have to have stories in Oklahoma City? What'd you say?
Yes.
Yeah, we do.
How long have you listened to this podcast? Don't you understand Florida Man?
I just I don't know of any that happened today. But
All right. So we'll do the
Doesn't need to
random.
happen today.
yeah, I'm sure there's some crazy Oklahoman doing something.
All right. So here we go. Giles, this is your question.
Okay.
If you had the opportunity to look through someone's email without them knowing, would you?
No, and I do all the time.
Wait a
I
minute.
mean,
You can't
I
say
have that
no.
opportunity all the time.
You can't say no, but I do it all the time.
No, I said no.
No,
but
she's
I have that opportunity.
the
all the
opportunity,
time.
but she doesn't.
Right.
All right.
She could, but she doesn't.
Yeah, I mean,
All right, Kristen, here's your question.
Okay.
What do you love most about where you grew up?
Philly cheesesteaks.
oh,
Cheesesteaks.
And not Pat's or Gino's. Nope. Jim's on South Street. Jim's on South Street.
Is that like a state landmark or something?
No, it's a corner. I don't know, it's quarter south and what, but I mean, everyone goes iconic to Gino's and Pat's down in Paseo. That's those are the two on the corner and face each other. But nope, I'm going for cheesesteak. I'm going to Jim's all the way. I miss a good Philly cheesesteak.
Is everything in Philly on the corner? That phrase,
Yeah.
it's always the phrase they always say. Oh, it's on the corner.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah,
Down
yeah.
the corner, out in the street.
That's a good song. Yep. Yeah, I guess everything is on the corner, but yeah, that's probably what I miss. I miss cheesesteak.
All right. So here are some titles of Florida Man stories you missed. Florida man accused of stealing over $1,000 worth of toothbrushes, then throwing them off the bridge.
Yep. And Alvarada.
Florida man says shadow in road caused him to crash into a house. Florida man breaks into home, kills family puppy with machete.
oh, that's not a Florida man story.
Sure is.
Well, I mean, they need to be funny or something. That's tragic.
These
That's
are all
sad.
today. Okay, here's a funny one for you. Florida man faces charges for slapping police horse on the butt.
I did hear that one. Yep.
This one's a religious one, so I can't say that.
Well, that other Florida man, he's a future serial killer. The one
hurting the
catching
puppy.
up a dog.
That's
yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, but there's another dog one that we can't say on the air because your ears will hurt.
Oh.
Don't talk about puppies.
No.
I like puppies.
What about the vendor stories? Do we get to hear your vendor stories?
No, we've gone too long.
Oh, dang.
So I'll have to do those another time. But I will say this: vendors, train your salespeople better.
Yes.
Don't have them call me and say, I'm calling you to do your onboarding when I haven't agreed to onboard anything.
Oh, whoopsie.
That's an aggressive salesperson.
Yes. So that's the story I was twice this week. Twice.
Wow.
By vendors that I like. That's the problem.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Ooh.
All right.
My vendor thing would be don't have your vendors say inappropriate comments at conferences.
There you go.
You know
What
she
she
watches the
said.
show.
Especially if you're a woman.
She should.
Exactly.
I mean,
How about just don't be inappropriate at a conference? How about that?
Well, that's probably true too. Don't be inappropriate at conference. Yeah.
right. But if you're a presenter, especially.
Right. Right.
Okay, you
You
know
better
we're
check
still
yourself.
live.
Okay. Well,
People can figure stuff out.
we're just putting out there to people
I-
that you might want to make sure you do this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or how about don't wear the same crazy outfit and okay, that didn't
I don't
fly
know
with us.
about that.
I don't. Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and end this up. So listen, folks, again, let me remind you, head over to itbusinesspodcast.com and click on the 2022 holiday poll and answer some questions and be entered into our contest to get Amazon gift cards and some other stuff that I cannot announce yet, but that will be happening. That will be our holiday show on December 21st. Why is it a big deal? It's the last show of the year. There will not be a show on December 28th. I am taking that week off. So,
Is it one of the prizes Uncle Marv cooking in your kitchen? I think I saw that somewhere. Just, no.
No, not at all.
Tried.
Next week, we will have part 2 of the Christina Jones story. I don't know if you remember, but episode 453, Christina was on an audio podcast with me titled My Boss Quit, Now What?
Yep.
So we heard about how we got her start owning her own business.
Think Pink.
Think Pink IT.
Think Pink.
So
I listened to it last week or 2 weeks ago.
You're behind.
Well, you know.
This is why I have to
Things
do
happen.
these things early and tell people, look, sign out the form because I know so many people are behind on shows.
Yeah. You know.
It depends how much
Try.
driving I have to do.
Why don't you drive to Florida?
I need a lot of podcasts for that.
Drive to Tampa for that ASCII event next year.
There you go.
Maybe I can get.
Actually, I won't. I would not drive, but I mean, I might fly.
Okay. All right. Well, folks, I want to thank you for those of you that are watching. Thank you for hanging out with us. And we just had a comment. Justine, sounds like good stories. Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be that might be an adult beverage night. We'll have to do that. Talk about vendor stories.
Which one?
The vendor.
Oh, vendor stories. Oh,
Yeah.
oh, I thought Diane and my.
Yeah, and it might have to be private because I want to have vendors.
Yeah, our thing. Yeah, no.
Our peeve. Our
Yeah.
peeve.
Our pet peeve. Yeah.
Your pet peeve? Yeah,
pet peeve.
that's
Yeah.
We can't talk about that.
That's a private Zoom party is what that is.
Yeah.
Which we'll be doing more of in 2023. I've got some great things planned. So when I take that week off, I'll be in the basement knocking out some ideas. But hopefully you guys will fill out those forms and give me some stuff. So, well, that's it, folks. If you are not subscribed to the show, I ask you to do so. Head over to itbusinesspodcast.com, click on the follow button, and you'll know whenever a show is released, audio or video. And you have your plethora of places to watch on Facebook, YouTube, now Twitch. And sometimes I even do LinkedIn Live. So all the places that you can watch. And of course, you can get the audio version on your favorite pod catcher and listen in the car on the go, like Diana Giles says that she does.
As do a lot of people, I'm sure.
Yep.
I do. Yeah.
That's it for our show tonight, folks. Thank you again for hanging out. We'll be back with Christina Jones next week. Enjoy yourselves, make some money. And until next time, holla.